Hey everybody, we're in El Paso, Texas. Out here we're going to start with the Mission Trail.
Yes, the Mission Trail consists of 3 old churches along the Mission Trail, so we're
Called Missions.
Called Missions, yeah. And I think 3 of the oldest still active parishes here in the state of Texas. So we want to go and check them out. It's going to be just short little trips, just pulling over, checking out the churches. So we'll share that with you.
Yeah, here in El Paso, we mainly came here for the holidays.
Yes.
Spending time with the family, but we are going to venture out a little bit and see some of the things we didn't see last time we were in El Paso.
Yeah, when we were stationed here.
Okay, so hope you enjoy the video.
Mm-hmm.
The first mission that we are visiting is the Ysleta mission. It's the oldest continuous active parish in the state of Texas. Ysleta is also the oldest town in Texas. The first Mass was held here in 1660. There was a fire in 1907 that destroyed most of the parish, but it was rebuilt, and this is how it stands today. There is a visitor center for the Mission Trail. It's located close to the Ysleta mission that you see here. We weren't able to go in because it was over the holidays and they were closed, but it is close by, and I think that'd be a good place to start if you were doing the Mission Trail. The second mission that we visited was the Socorro mission seen here. It was built in 1691. There was a couple floods that affected this mission, the first one in 1740 and another one in 1829. The final structure was rebuilt around 1843, and that's the structure that you see here. This is the third and final mission that we visited. It's the San Elizario mission. It was built in 1684. They did have a fire in 1829 that destroyed most of the building, but they were able to save it, and the final building that you see here was finished in 1882, and it's stayed pretty much the same since then. Just some general information on the Mission Trail. It's located about 10-15 miles to the southeast of El Paso. Socorro Road is designated as the Mission Trail, and it's about 9 miles in length. The 3 missions that you see here are located along that route. The funny thing about it is the 3 missions were built on the south side of the Rio Grande, actually in Mexico, although Mexico and Texas didn't exist as they do today then. Over time, a lot of floods have happened and the Rio Grande route changed, and now the missions are located on the north side of the Rio Grande. So when Texas became a state, they used the Rio Grande as a border, and so that's how these missions became in Texas. Not what you expect to see downtown El Paso, Texas. You remember the story?
The alligators entertaining the public since 1880 or something. It was a real fountain, was real alligators in there, and people would just sit around and watch them, and I guess it got out of hand or something. So this is a sculpture once the alligators were, I guess they commissioned that way later in the 1900s or something.
So if you see the gator, you can't help but smell this place.
Yeah.
So here we are. Churros
And pandanata.
Pandanata.
Well, it's sweet, and they filled it with like leche, the milk creamy thing. You could choose between chocolate or caramel, so it's kind of like a donut or muffin. It's interesting. I never had it before. It's sweet.
And I went with something a little more traditional. Churro with a little chocolate on it. Come on. So here's an interesting structure. The door is open on the statue there. Right here in El Paso. Just kind of fun.
I heard about a king who was doing swell till he started playing with that evil Jezebel.
So today we just got done doing the Hueco Tank. Hueco Tank State Park here outside. It's about 30 miles outside El Paso. We did a guided tour. The park is limited. They limit self-guided tours to like 70 people a day. So you definitely need to make reservations regardless. You can't just show up at that park. We were able to do a guided tour. It was about 2.5 hours. Very informative. Had fun. It was nice. We were a small group. Elizabeth was our tour guide. Not tour guide. Well, yeah, I guess it is a tour guide. And had a lot of insight and didn't just point out the petroglyphs and the natures, the dwellings, the plants. It was really good. It was informative. I enjoyed it. It ended up costing us $12 a piece. If you do have, because that includes the state park entrance fee of $7. So if you do have the state park pass for Texas, that guided tour would have been $5. And I don't know, I want to say kids under 12 are free, but don't quote me on that. But it was really good. I had a good time.
Yeah, it was nice.
So, and we have some coverage of that and some pictures. So there you go.
You can also gently rub some in your hand to get that smell going, or wet it with some water.
It almost smells like a fireplace that burned all night.
Yeah, it has a
And-
very like smoky smell to it.
Yeah.
Too. Profile of maybe a feline of some sort. But you'll notice if you kind of go all the way down, there's something right here. A little bit hard to see because of the lighting right now, but this is known as a face or mask design. This one is thought to be the only documented blue pictograph in the park. Of course, there are probably others, but they're in harder to reach spots. There are other sites around Hueco Tanks that also have pictographs, and there is another blue one outside the park. just how smooth the rock is. So that's from hundreds of years of people touching it with their hands, and your hands have oils on them, and then polishing it as they moved around on it. So that's body polish. So you're also adding to the history there by touching it and adding your own body polish as well. But there are images all around in this space. And it's a very interesting space that when it does rain, it acts almost like a little umbrella where rain comes all the way around and even through. And that's why this tree's pretty happy here, because it does get quite a bit of rain. Bluish. I do think this one's more recent, just because of the coloring in there. And then of course you have this whole area right here.
Yeah.
So this is known as a goggle-eyed figure. It does have a lot of similarities to another Mesoamerican deity, and it's just so interesting, you know, it's just the folklore and stories. And like how people do it, but you just have to be very mindful and like respectful of it too. I don't know if you
I see that little guy now.
Yeah.
Now,
And then some of the other stuff. Yeah.
You're almost close to that, Bryn.
How low can you go? Ah.
Okay, Hentis. Oh yeah. You're more than welcome to touch them as well. This one is one of those deeper ones here. Super smooth. And usually wherever there's a really deep one, you can see more shallow ones that appear around it. Could this have been too deep and they made new ones? Possibly. Could this have been for a specific task? Absolutely as well. So maybe if you needed something with more force to crush things. A lot of the monos we don't see too often. They're really like almost oval-like.
It's like button.
yeah. Well, it's just interesting. Everything is dried up and you have these little guys and I feel like, I'm alive.
Oh man, look at that one.
Cool.
Clearly a bakery.
I know, there's a lot of grinding
an
going on
alien.
here.
Yep.
But there's quite a few pictographs in this panel. Painted over it or an interaction happened. And then it's white on the outer layer. So you have some more reds and oranges on this side, as well as some reds underneath it. And even to the right of it, you have some more pigment. We're mostly on East Mountain. We're on West right now, and then that's North, which you can explore all on your own. You can't see from here, but we have
Our tour at Hueco State Park comes to an end, so does our time in El Paso. We have since traveled back to the East Coast, so stay tuned for another video showing our travel back to North Carolina. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video.